The red pill is a meme that refers to this realization that the world isn't nearly as simple as you thought it was. The question, of course, is what is the truth? What is the truth? And how bad do you want to know?
Laci Green gets gashed by progressives after red pill video. Yes, by now, most of you viewing this will have already watched Laci Green's latest video about taking the red pill, and as reported by the Ralph Retort, there is significant blowback and accusations of attempting to cash in on a trend and to bolster her sagging YouTube channel. I can't help to think that this will be a good thing, like the fairly recent wave of famous new atheists being public and articulate about their disbelief, helping the secular community grow. Laci Green has a large audience of SJWs and feminists who will now be exposed to a competing point of view outside of their newfound religion of intolerance. But there is more. It's not just the anti-feminist and anti-SJW communities that are skeptical of her apparent change of heart. The people that she has now betrayed are having a shit fit. The YouTube king of not wanting to allow dissenting opinions, Steve Shives, who is most known by the meme Blocked by Steve Shives. Here is a Twitter exchange by the infinitely baffled Shives on the Laci Green matter. Laci writes, "Nobody needs to be friends with anyone else, but it's pretty alarming to frame political censorship and thought policing as productive." Steve says, "I don't want to make friends with anti-feminists," and here is part of his tweet that is confusing. "Far more productive to befriend someone at YouTube who could delete all their channels." Steve goes on, "I'm not advocating political censorship. I think there are many who would soundly disagree with that statement, Steve. I'm advocating not wasting time making nice with abusive, dishonest, opportunistic people." This is where Laci has shown evidence of having taken the red pill. She tweets in response to Mr. Censorship, "Abuse is one thing, but banning channels you disagree with is political censorship. A level of civility is necessary to understand each other." Spot on, Laci. The now sulking, "I'll block you and your wrong think" Shives retorts, "It's upsetting to hear you repeating the same 'you just want to silence disagreement' bit I hear from the likes of Carl Benjamin or TJ Kirk." Shives goes on with several more tweets claiming that he isn't mass banning because he is a card-carrying member of the Ostrich Brigade. Oh no, this banning of people who have never even interacted with him is because of bigots, harassers, and, you guessed it, white supremacy and rape culture. We always have to fall back on the white supremacy and rape culture, don't we? Here are some of the responses to Steve's claims of not being the self-declared Inspector General of the Ministry of Censorship. "You have 97% of Twitter blocked because you can't handle people disagreeing with you. You love censorship, just lack the power to enact it. Since when is having an informative discussion making nice? I hope you get lots of followers with your virtue signaling." Steve, this is the part where you block her. And on Steve Shives' Twitter feed, you see this shitstorm brewing there. Guillotine emoji declares, "Anti-feminism is an inherently wrong position. There is no middle ground between right and wrong." But of course, this is what Laci Green is talking about. Opening up a dialogue with others to attempt to bridge the gap and foster understanding. An admirable goal. But this may be an impossible struggle, not because of the wrongthink of social justice warriors' enemies, but the intractable position proudly stated in this tweet. The high priestesses of feminism declare that their religion is the revealed truth. Any thought that opposes their dogma as heretical, not worthy of their precious time. Sargon of Akkad believes that many are owed a sincere apology if Laci Green's latest mood is to be taken at face value.
I saw you talking to Sean Head on Twitter about people on Reddit who were not convinced that your turnaround was genuine, and that you were seeing which way the winds were blowing and realigning your sails accordingly. I think that they think this because you haven't apologised. And I just want to say, it's all well and good for the two pretty girls to sit on Twitter and go, "Ha ha ha, aren't those people silly?" But that's not going to win you any favours, because those people are not the pretty popular girls. Those people, and I speak from personal experience here, are the neckbeards who have never had any social power and never will. Merely waving your hand and dismissing them is not going to make them go away, just like it didn't when you were calling them misogynists. My advice is to think about the people that you will have insulted by blanket dismissing them as misogynists when you were a die-hard feminist declaring that everything was problematic, and apologize.
Not a bad idea to help heal the wounds, but not necessarily essential. If Laci Green plays a part in any meaningful dialogue, and more importantly is successful in outreach to the people who mass block and hold fingers in their ears to try to silence dissent from their one true religion, and that alone will be enough. She might even start a trend and help the regressive left move into the 21st century with us, to conclude that the age of enlightenment was not a waste of time.
I've recently found anti-SJW channels that are well cited and reasoned, make some interesting points, but not everyone is so hunky-dory about it.
A recent, although admittedly flawed, study suggests liberals avoid opposing views as much as conservatives. It has become a matter of faith on the left that folks on the right are closed-minded and not open to information that oppose their worldview. There is good reason for this, but to be fair, we see endless examples of the regressive left circling the wagons and pulling up the drawbridge as if in a state of siege, that many of them do not want to be exposed to dissenting opinions. Steve Shives and his censorship and blocking mania is a great example. The Humanist says if we refuse to be exposed to conflicting worldviews for the sake of maintaining relationships, do we react the same way to those that critically challenge our engagement in systematic issues? Forget about the daily drama that plays out on YouTube and Twitter every day. We rarely have to look very far for examples of the left afraid of exposure to differing opinions, especially when it comes to their specially protected species, Islam, fired for reporting the truth. Simply tweeting video of a Muslim student characterizing his religion on interfaith panel cost me my job, reports Andy Ngo on thenationalreview.com. Andy says, last month I attended an interfaith panel discussion unpacking misconceptions at Portland State University, where I'm a political science graduate student. I ended up being fired as the multimedia editor of our student newspaper, The Vanguard, for tweeting about what was said there. Apparently, the only misconception that was unpacked was freedom of speech. Andy Ngo tweeted a short clip from the panel discussion, and for that unforgivable crime, he was let go. To nutshell the story, someone from the audience questioned the Muslim panelist if a specific verse in the Quran actually permitted the killing of non-Muslims. Andy started recording his answer, which basically states that yes, the Quran permits killing non-Muslims in countries that Quranic law reign. Of course, they can just leave and not be killed. Here is the video clip that Andy Ngo got canned for posting.
And some of these that you're referring to, like killing non-Muslims, that is only considered a crime when the country's law, the country is based on Quranic law. That means there is no other law than the Quran. So in that case, you're giving the liberty to like leave the country. You can go on a different country. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So you can go on a different country, but in a Muslim country, a country based on the Quranic laws, disbelieving or being an infidel is not allowed. So you will be given the choice. Do you agree? Yeah?
After this response by the Muslim student, an SJW was tripping over himself to attempt to convince everyone there that non-Muslims are safe in Quranic countries.
Well, about the part where do not befriend Christians, and in Muslim countries, I confidently believe that it is allowed to have different faiths, and our evidence for that is if we go to, well, first of all, we'll take it right back to the Prophet. When he first established the Muslim country and Muslim nation in Medina, the first Muslim civilization, he made a pact with the Jewish people, and they had a constitution and an agreement on, for example, if anybody else attacked them, they would all work together, and they were all allowed to coexist. And then if we look at throughout Islamic history, if we look at some of the massacres that ISIS, which I do not believe are Muslim, are committing against some of the minority Christian population. And for example, you have to look at why are there Christians in Syria and Egypt and these countries in the Levant region that have been under Muslim rule for the last 1,500, 400 years. It's because non-Muslims were allowed to live there. So it's perfectly okay for non-Muslims to live in Muslim lands, and it's absolutely not allowed to harm them or anything like that.
Here a young Muslim man was being thoughtful and honest, but this is verboten to the social justice warrior narrative about Islam, the most feminist religion there is. But let us get back to this Laci Green change of heart issue. Since she uploaded her red pill video, there has been quite a commotion on YouTube and the Twitter thingy. Accusations from all sides accusing her of selling out for cold hard cash. Others quite rightly are skeptical. But I say, let's see what comes of this. If she is able to bring some people into some middle territory, it will be a big win for Reason. If she is doing it for money, then I wish her success.
And as for that red pill, well,
thank you again for viewing another video on the Disturbing Trends channel. Please take a moment to subscribe or check us on one of the social media sites in the links below. Goodbye.